Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy. What's up, my people? It's that time again. Welcome to the Frogman Friday show.
Presented by Transcend, the best peptide and hormone therapy. They put your health first so you can live more and worry less. Go to transcendcompany.com/Birdman to begin your wellness transformation today.
Today, I'm beyond excited because it is our 100th episode, and I can't believe we made it this far. And our guest today is one of my favorite people, and not only my favorite people, but a guy that I look up to in the highest regard. So today, we got you coming in hot with JT, Jason Torey, Navy SEAL, 26 years of service, retired Master Chief. He's co-founded QLAD in 2025 in Reno, Nevada. You can catch him on IG and LinkedIn, and to take a deeper dive, go check out QLAD.com. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Dude, so good to see you. I want to jump right in with this story because it's my favorite story, and I get asked every time because I think 90% of people in this country, they know me as Birdman. They don't even know my first name. They don't even know that I have a first name. I'm like, when they finally realize my name is Ryan, right? They're like, Birdman Parrott. I'm like, my parents love me. So the nickname Birdman, everybody asks about it, and I tell them the story of getting blown up and all that stuff, but they don't understand the origins. So I'm going to bring it home for everybody who's listening. So in 2005, we got rocked in on Route Michigan, and I was in Habaniya, Iraq, and you were up in Ramadi.
Yeah.
And we're both at Team 7. And we get blown up. We get to TQ. Guys are getting surgery, going under the knife, getting fixed up. And I was the least of the injured, so I got to roll back home. And so go back across the base to Habaniya, and we're hanging out in the armory. And all of a sudden, you and the boys roll in from Ramadi, cruise down Route Michigan to visit, check on us. And you walk right in the armory. You're the first guy in there. My platoon that's there is sitting around me, and we're just kind of talking through what just happened. And you walk in, you're like, did you go flying out of the turret? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're the fucking Birdman. And that was it. It was so legit because I wake up the next morning and all my shit is stenciled Birdman it was so legit because it was fucking New Guy or FNG before that. Yeah. And so then it went to Birdman, and that's how it became. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend who created the name Birdman is JT.
Golly. Oh, thanks. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it. That is a interesting story, right? I'm just so thankful you guys are all right. And that was no joke. In Michigan, I hear all the time about Route Irish and all these other ones, and I've been on a lot of them. Irish a lot. But Michigan was, oh, gosh darn. Remember how it was just pitted, pock marks everywhere? I mean, it was always something going on, and that was a dangerous road. But I'm just glad you guys are all right. I did like running it, though. I mean, making that run down there was a lot of fun because there was a lot going on all the time. But it's funny. I think back to those times, and man, I mean, it was a lot. We had a lot of fun. I mean, it was dangerous, but we had a lot of fun.
That was the good times. Yeah.
It was, yeah.
I actually worried more on Route Michigan, like cruising up to Ramadi. I worried more about all that fucking sand that would get in my face as a turret gunner than actually getting blown up. Because I'm like, if I get blown up, like I'm just gone. Like it's going to be so fast, hopefully. And I can tell you now from experience, getting blown up, it is super fast. And but somehow we're miraculously alive. But the sand you're breathing in as a turret gunner, it's like, okay, it's cool. I'm on my 50 cal, no big deal. Just hanging out, being a new guy, doing my thing. It's all good.
That is a tough position. I remember when we were in, was it 03, I think, and it was Jocko, Grady McDonald, Tim King, Jason Gabel, myself, Steve Kupcha. List goes on, and we're going out to hit a target. We go around a corner and we come down into this kind of dip, and it had been raining because we were in winter at that time. And I remember watching the Humvee slow down a little, but you know the deal. You don't, you better not try and romp on the brakes because you got all the weight, people, all the considerations. And we hit in front of us, the Humvee hit a puddle, and that came up a wall of water. And I just see the gutter just taking the face. You had a tough job, the gutters. God bless all of you, because you guys you ate dirt, you ate shit. I mean, that's a tough job, man. It didn't get cool until the RG-33 with the thermoremote weapon system. So
yeah, every time you'd come back from any kind of, even if it was just like a convoy or something, you'd come back and your face would be brown when you got back.
Yeah.
You know, that's so good.
I think that was Joe Wood, if I remember correctly. And I remember seeing, he was just like a wet puppy when he got back, just like, I mean, soaked all night. And you know how cold it gets there at night. That was a slog that night. But yeah.
Good times, man.
Yeah.
Well, I always love to start off with this because I'm very excited and inquisitive because I only did 8 years, so I only know what I know. But you did 26 years, got all the way up the chain to Master Chief, which is legit. I would love to know, what was your transition out of service like?
Well, it was easy, to be honest with you. The reason why is because I didn't, you and I have talked about this, but it wasn't that the bird was my identity. And for people that don't know what your bird is, like you hear Budweiser or Trident oftentimes in the SEAL teams, and most SEALs just say, their bird, which means you're Trident, means you're a SEAL. So that wasn't my identity. I loved the job, but I was ready to move on. And so when I left, it wasn't as hard a transition as I thought it might be. To transition out, not to say that I didn't miss some things or do not miss things now. I do. I really love that community. I enjoyed it, had a great time, but life goes on, right? We all return back to being private citizens after our service to the nation. To say that it was all, a bed of roses, let's say, is not true, right? So, going into the civilian sector was a little bit different. The amount of stress that I had been under, I didn't realize. I mean, I realized it at a certain point in my career, but it started to manifest as I had gotten out, and the stress levels and all that it's a decompression. And, Steve Viola told me, hey, you got to take like 6 months to a year off. And V is a good dude, knows what he's talking about. And of course, I didn't do what he said. So, I went through that process. Taco said the same thing. And, I had to just kind of go through that. But it took me like 2 years to kind of decompress from everything, quite frankly. But overall, I'm not trying to say that it was perfect, but, it wasn't bad transitioning out. It was actually pretty easy moving on.
I love hearing that, man, because unlike you, so I was offered a job while in service that I would never have considered a job while I was in at the time I was in, except this job was impossible. I was offered a COO of a big company. And I'm like, dude, you're barking up the wrong tree. I don't know nothing about business, but
right.
And kind of showed me that paycheck. And I was like, are you kidding me? You're going to pay me this? And I don't even know what I'm doing. And he's like, dude, I want you because he wanted specific skill sets. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is great. And I was toying around with the idea of getting out, but my identity was SEAL. And that's the problem, is it took me a long time to really get through that process because I never knew who Ryan Parrott was. You get into this world where like, okay, I am Birdman and I am a SEAL and this is my identity. And then people start talking to you, as though you're a hierarchy, and you're surprised at first as a civilian because you're like, why do they think so much of me when I think shit of me? I don't think of me. I think about my brothers and we have fun and we do a great job. But all of a sudden it starts to get in. And for me, I let it get into my head, not in a very nefarious way, but just to the identity crisis thing. Right. And that's where my turmoil was super difficult for transitioning. But I'm so glad to hear that your transition was seamless, or at least smoother than most, right. Man. But you said you had fun while you were in. You did have fun while you were in. And I remember.
I did.
See, I remember the stories. We'll keep them at bay for now. I remember the smile on your face all the time. Like every time, there was always that smile right there. And it was like, uh-oh, what are we getting into, or what just happened?
I used to do it to Heil all the time too. Like we'd be going out or, I remember we we're on a patrol and we're moving into a sniper position. There were some guys from CAG that were in there with some Marines, and they're like 7 tons when we were in the Farouk on a patrol, and we're being super slow, methodical. We come through this, cover to cover, we're moving. We get to a point, we know that they're moving through there. They know we're moving through there. We're talking to the guys from the 160th up above. They know we're in there. Everybody, we're deconflicted, thumbs up, and that we stop and we're waiting in this, and it's a little ways away, but the there's a massive explosion. I mean, massive explosion. And the 710 goes in this huge hole. Like, we had just walked by it. We didn't see the IED that was buried, went off. I mean, hit me against the wall, knocked a bunch of guys down. And Johnny Hiles in front of me. And he turns around, looks at me. I got a smile on my face. I go, IED, let's go. He goes, oh, shit. But it was, I mean, the heat from that thing, I mean, it was a good size one. I mean, that 7-ton was like doing this. Thankfully, those fellas were all right and nothing happened. But I used to mess with Hiles so much. I was so much fun. But,
That's
same thing with
teams.
Cabell. Yeah. I used to mess with Cabell all the time, too. And he'd bust my chops. But yeah, I had a great time, man. So much fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. J-Bell's been on the show before. Such a great dude.
Yeah, he is.
Killing
Awesome.
it with the directing and all the production.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
He's always been like that, though.
Has he?
Oh, gosh, man. The guy is so talented, so smart. Absolutely. Don't go golfing with him, though, because you'll get humbled.
Oh, really?
Oh, man. Yeah. He's stellar. So
I'm going to go ahead and write that one down real quick.
yeah.
Blacklist him for golf for sure.
That's right.
All right, let's get into business, man. So did you, before we even get into QLAD, let's talk about you and business. Did you always know that you were an entrepreneur or a businessman, or how did this come to be?
Through happenstance. I did not want to be in a startup. We had been in a grind for 26 years and just wanted to kind of unplug and not be in that type of environment. But it just happened that I met an individual and got into startups. The original plan was to just teach college and maybe be an entrepreneur, do entrepreneur stuff, like go into an established company and work there and try and help the company, right, and evolve. But got into startups. I went to an event with Taco, Danny Cirillo, rest his soul, great man. Yeah. And because Taco and I we're best of friends, and I went to an event he had and met an individual there who has been a serial entrepreneur. He came from Sicily when he was 4 years old, not speaking a lick of English. His grandmother was a cleaner and his grandfather was a gardener, and he started a plumbing company to put himself through college. He did that. Started a computer company, sold that, did well. He's the guy that invented hyperscaling, built out Google, Amazon, the AWS, all those. When you think about the servers and the racks, with a company called Rackable, then it was called SGI. He started up an optical storage company, sold that to Sony. Started up this other company called R Store, and that's where I met him. And he's like, well, come on and just see what you think. And so here I am, and that's who I've been with for basically the last 7 years, between R Store, Scilabs, and now QLAD.
Wow.
But yeah, I never thought I would be doing the startup world. I got my degree, I got my doctorate, did all that. I was like, okay, I'm just going to teach. And now I'm proof that anybody can get a degree. So if this caveman can, anybody can. But
those are facts, just so you know, for those who don't know JT. No, I'm just kidding. That's legit, man. What were you going to teach?
Well, I teach now for Colorado State University Global Campus, but I do organizational leadership and organizational development stuff. I teach 2 undergraduate courses occasionally, but mostly it's at the 500 and 600 master's level. So
wow,
I just enjoy
congrats.
it. Yeah, I enjoy it. And
that's the key, man. When you teach, that's it. When you teach, like, I didn't realize this when I was in a platoon until I went to be an instructor. When you're instructing people is when you really hone in on your skill sets.
Yeah.
You're consistently talking about it, thinking through it, helping people find the process and the understanding. And it just makes you so much more better ingrained in what that process is, to where you go back to do it and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man.
Well, and
Wow.
the thing about it too is that I always say too, one of the things is repetition and exposure. The more times you do it, the more times you see different things, the more you're going to grow, right? As long as you absorb those things, understand how to apply the pathways and evolve. And a great part about this is one, that university is fantastic. I love my boss. She is absolutely just squared away. Dina Samora, she is, Dr. Samora has been a great mentor to me. I also had a fantastic mentor, Calvin Lathan, who's a retired, prior enlisted, but retired lieutenant commander. And they kind of guided me through the process, and then learning from them, evolving through them. And then my program at the University of Charleston and my Washington State University programs were fantastic as well. But now teaching it, learning and getting exposure to all these other people in this cross section across the United States and these different areas and industries, it's pretty interesting, man. I mean, I learned something. I'm not trying to be cliche-ish, but something new every single day from them. So yeah,
That's legit. Well, another key to your success of having a good transition is staying busy. Keeping yourself busy keeps that idle mind gone or away. And that's a beautiful thing, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
QLAD.
My wife would tell me I'm not happy unless I'm miserable. She says I do too much. She's not, she's not wrong. She's actually spot on. She knows me better than anybody. My biggest fan, but my biggest critic, so.
For sure. It's so funny. It's the same thing. I think anybody who's married knows that to be true. Yeah. It's they come into your life to save your life from you.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Let's get into QLAD. Talk to us about it. What is it? Why did you guys found it? What do you guys do?
Well, it's an interesting company, right? And quite frankly, it's based around confidential computing, and what we do is confidential containers. And containers are one of the things that, as you look at them, and I'm trying to be as high level as possible. And by the way, there's some things, if it's 100 feet deep, I can go there, and everywhere in between. But there's a lot of technology too that is, I can touch on, but it is very interesting. But there's a movement, and it's been around for years, and it's individuals that have created and are creating what's called confidential computing, right? And this confidential computing market, there's a lot of parts and pieces to it, but what we've focused on is containerization, which, if you think about it, is something where you can isolate your information, right? Whatever you might be doing, it can be isolated. Containers are used, like if you think of Docker or Singularity, some other ones out there that are used in high performance computing. It's so that people can do in a secure environment, they can work on things, right? And this has those similar properties and approaches. It's based on the confidential computing piece, where let's say people will say your information is secure in transit, or when it's at rest. Well, when it's at use, it's not. And we have done it so that when at use, it's also secure, which is not easy. And so as part of that, to say, look, we can secure your information, we can isolate your information from the outside, but also if somebody gets in and they're containerized, they can't get out of it. Does that make sense? And so, some of the things that you see where individuals find backdoors, or they're able to get into, let's say, breach systems, not just, through software, through hardware, or through insiders attacks, so to speak, this will prevent it. So that's what we've been working on. And we have some extremely brilliant people that are working on it.
Wow. Is there a particular reason that you guys created this? Was there a big need out there in the market that you're solving for? It's all the hacking and all that today.
Yeah, and we went to a different level in the stack of software. So we're not the solution; we're part of it, right? There's parts and pieces that go into the solution. So we would be a part of it. Like if you think there's 10 parts to the stack, we're like, a part in the stack, and we would be down in the stack. of software. And so what we did is we looked at the problem a little bit differently, and we took it one step kind of deeper. And why we did that is we started looking at the environment, and we started looking at things. You can see SolarWinds, where the Russians have put, they put nefarious code into open source, because a lot of people like to use open source, but they don't know where the software supply chain is, which is getting bigger now, by the way, where people more and more requiring and understand. Just like with anything, you would have a bill of material. Well, this is the software bill of material, and they're understanding where that came from. We also saw that companies here in the United States are building out products here in the United States, but what's more scary is that they're pressing silicone overseas and they're integrating overseas. In other words, they're getting all the electronics, all the guts, and they're putting it in overseas and having it built overseas, trusting that there is going to be no backdoor, let's say, put in by China, the CCP, Russia, North Korea, whatever, Iran, whatever state or non-state actor might put a backdoor in, which would, frankly, threaten our, our could be our government, jets, cars, power grid, whatever it might be, where we have all these computers. I mean, you got an F-16 with a Chinese built or pressed chip on it, or something, or an integrated software from overseas. If that's the case, there can be an issue. Where do all our computers and where's all that information and everything held, built, and integrated overseas? Well, if it's not here, there's an absolute danger, right? And so as we looked at the problem like that, we said, well, one, if we figure out a way to isolate, it wouldn't matter, right? And what's really interesting is we also looked and said, well, when your information is at use, it's exposed. So I don't know if a lot of people understand that people can see your information while you're processing. It could be somebody in, a cloud provider that can see your information, right? And what we said is, well, we can isolate it. There's also a lot of very interesting things going on now with quantum as well. So we looked at that, and we're addressing pieces of that as we can, right? Because that's still new, but it's going a heck of a lot faster than people thought it would. And our thoughts were, well, if we can isolate in use, okay, rest. But one of the things that's kind of scary is we know the CCP is doing, while your information is in transit, they're doing harvest now, decrypt later when the quantum comes on. And so we've been working that piece too, to isolate it there as well through certain methods. And looking at all that, and I know it's a long answer to your question.
Sure.
But when we saw all these things, we're like, hey, this is where we can contribute. We can contribute not just to the government, right, but also the private sector and our companies here, and help secure the U.S., help secure our allies. And that was our thought process. And so that's how we've built it. That's how we've started doing it.
Wow. Well, so that leads us right into the perfect question: is who is your target audience?
Everybody,
every corporation, government, law enforcement.
Absolutely. Wow. Everybody. Okay. I mean, think of this. If you have and this is proven by the pagers, right? We saw what happened with the pagers, right?
Yep.
And if you can overheat that battery or that part of the system, you can create some real issues. So let's say through the Science and Chips Act that we built all of these foundries, hopefully, right? But before that, we built, in the U.S., which would be a great thing because we could build and integrate in the U.S. But let's say we build all these data centers and all this stuff to say, hey, we're gonna have these data centers for all this information, and let's say we build foundries, which should be great, like I said. But what is the hardware that's going in, and where was it integrated? Is that now actually what I would consider secure? Which I would say no, if it wasn't built here and we didn't have absolute control over the system or supply chain, if that's hardware or software. The other thing is currently right now in our power grid. Let's think about that. What happens if they are able and they built backdoors into it, let's say. And there has been some articles in 2018. There was an article in Bloomberg that talked about it. They say that that's not true, that there was no Chinese involvement into putting backdoors into chips. But if, let's say they do, and they're able to overheat the cooling system or the batteries on these servers, I mean, that's a real problem. You can bring the whole grid down. Let's consider what would happen with the cloud if they were able to somehow hack in through a backdoor and then destroy every single server in there by overheating it and ruining it. I mean, that's would be catastrophic to the U.S. Think of how much. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. How much is on the internet? So,
yeah. I mean, it's everything right now.
Yeah.
Everything being done today is through the interwebs. It's online. It's on a phone, computer, iPad, whatever, you name it. And
Yeah.
you're 100% you're unprotected if you have zero understanding of what is going on. And then when you go to buy these generic protections, they only do so much. And so being able to really fortify software to really lock that, encase that, that's awesome.
Well,
Wow.
and the hardware too. I mean, you've got to do it. It has to be, there's only actually 2 integrators within the United States that'll integrate, but they also integrate overseas. And so we have to be real cautious about that. And that, I mean, service, like anywhere, and let's be honest, right? I mean, in a business, you need to make money to keep the business going, and you want the business to keep going. Do we want to be successful in business? Absolutely. But one of our biggest driving factors is to say, let's secure our nation. Let's do the right thing. I mean, you just saw an article recently that just came out within the last couple of weeks of company outsourcing some key material for, or some, services for the government overseas and using Chinese nationals. Well, that's not to say that everybody in China is bad, but look, some of the biggest contributors to the open source technology here is the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. So you see that there's a lot of money and influence going into these open source projects. One of the largest for some of the projects that we're in, that you can see contributors would be like Alibaba Cloud. And, what happens when the Chinese Communist Party invests money into your company? They put somebody on the board because they're going to control it. I mean, it's interesting. So it's not to say that, say the sky is falling, but we have to be very conscious of that and realize that that is an absolute real threat. We need to bring back this development back to the United States. We need to press. We need to integrate, develop as much as we can, especially when it comes to protecting the government, our war fighters, our diplomats, our legislators, our executives, our judiciary, and then our power grids, our finance, all of these things. Go down the list. These are the things that we need to be smart about that as a nation. So that's really where we got into this. I mean, Jason Tushin and I we're in the SEAL teams together. Tush.
Yep.
Giovanni Coglatori is the guy I was talking about, that he's part of this. He founded Rackable Systems and later SGI, et cetera, worked at Facebook. Then you see our lead engineer, basically. He's the visionary here on all this stuff. And he worked, as an offensive guy, and he's very smart about this. So we're bringing this stuff together and with a super talented team.
If somebody's listening to this and they're just a random, like me, I'm just a regular civilian who's like, hey, I could sure lock down my stuff. Can a civilian, just a general individual person, get on this train, or does it have to be like a conglomerate, a corporation, DOD type stuff?
No, and it could be anybody. And that's the one thing that we're doing is we're trying. And what would be great is if all of this was in the stack, loaded, came on your computer, was part of the ecosystem, let's say, so that it just becomes something that's there and is trained. The way we do it is everything we build is to make it as easy as possible and transparent, right? So like, when when I'm out there trying to, pull the banana out of the cage and won't let go of it, and can't get my hands between, if
I don't know about that, man.
The bars, that's why we want to keep it simple. And that's the way our engineers see it as well. Really, believe me, it's very complex underneath the hood, but to everyone else, we're trying to keep it transparent. So it's just easy.
Yeah, the harder you work to actually get those intricacies down, right, it's just going to make it easier for the end user. And we all need that today, because everything today says easy for the end user, and you get it, and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Manual doesn't even talk with what I'm trying to do. This makes no sense. That interface and user-friendly stuff is so important. High-level business, you guys looking for investors? You guys covered? What's that look like?
Always looking for investors.
Okay.
You want to make the investment in time, energy, effort, knowledge mean something. And always, yes, absolutely. We're always looking for that. And that's the struggle, right? I mean, that's where you're always finding the balance with startups, right?
Yeah.
With, especially all the hard work that you see people put into it. We want to see this come to fruition. We want to contribute to the security of our nation, do the right thing for people, our allies, etc. And so, yes.
Good to know. We'll put this out for sure. That's this is super important stuff. What have we not touched on so far that you want people to know about what QLAD does?
Well, there's a lot of different things, but just to let people know that there's a lot of great ideas out there and a lot of great startups. There's a great many that never see the light of day, and continue to look at these smaller companies that are super innovative and creative. That as you continue to think about what direction the United States is going when it comes to this technology, why we're doing what we're doing, continue to look at how we are investing and be critical of that back into this, to our nation. One thing that's interesting to me, I've heard a couple investors say, well, we're not interested in the government, whatever. And it kind of blows my mind because, and then the other part of it doesn't. There's not a lot of money there. I mean, there can be, let's say, but the real money is in the private sector, right? That's where the big money's at. I mean, if you're thinking about some of these new technologies, I mean, by 2030, 2034, they're supposed to be in the $3+ trillion size, right? For that part of the industry. And what's interesting is that they're right, but you have to invest back into the future of our nation too. Sometimes it's not about getting your 10, 12, 20, 30x return, and maybe it's just a smaller return, but what are you doing for the betterment of the nation? Because all of that'll be for naught if you don't invest in it. All the money in the world won't matter if you're not investing back into this country. So.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that you think about, you're going to send young men and women to, overseas, men into combat, into true warfighting combat. And we got to protect them. And so being able to be a part of this revolution that actually not only is a company that will grow and make money, but at the same time protect our service members near and far, which is so important because we're always at stake. I mean, it's more heightened now than it has ever been with the technology and the threats and the constant, media circus. There's so many issues that need to be, pushed away and protected. So anyway, that's legit, man. I've looked at you in many different ways, maybe even a little gay at times, but I've never looked at you as a nerd, and I'm so excited to see this new JT here, who's just Mr. Professor Computing type, tech-driven. That's legit.
Well, I've always, I'm not perfect. I have, many flaws, but I've always kind of liked this stuff. I've always been a gear guy. I'm an ounces equals pounds guy. I've always thought about how we can make the carbon-based equipment on the battlefield a hell of a lot more effective. You and I were talking about this earlier. If you treat a guy like it, if you train a guy like it, you equip a guy like it, you employ a guy like it, they're going to be like it. And that's the way I've always felt about, special operations. And, we have a great group of guys across all services. All this white noise that's going on in the background, like you and I talked about, is just that. US Soft is, our partners are dang good people. I mean, they're squared away and damn good operators, right? But
Yep.
All my point to that is these are things that all of us can weigh in on too. We have a very good counterculture, and they are in Soft that are extremely smart, motivated, and talented. One of the big things that was interesting to me is now that we're kind of talking about it here, is when I did make a transition, is not truly understanding that everybody would be as invested in the success of the organization as, say, we were in SOF. And I've heard some people say, well, you had to be there. Well, you were in the military, had to be there. Yeah, you didn't have to be there.
Right.
You could get out. You could not be involved in these things. You were there willingly, right? And you wanted to see the success of the organization. You're willing to invest in the success of the organization. And the reality is that when I moved into the private sector, that was a little bit different. And the one that was the most shocking to me was it was much harder, and there were fewer people that were willing to invest in mentor, coach, teach, guide, develop you, and help give you the tools, not realizing that you're not shooting for their job. You're just trying to be the best that you can be to contribute to the success of the organization. But that didn't really click with them. And that was kind of a struggle for me. Although it was an easy transition, there was a few things that I struggled with, and that was one of them, where it was about what can I do for me? What's best for me? And I'm going to circle the wagons and protect what I have so no one else gets it. Not realizing that I wasn't interested in any of that. Just, teach me.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the knowledge, so.
No question. With your technology, is it rolled out right now? People can get involved right now with it?
Parts of it are, and we're slowly but surely bringing it out. And just like we just yesterday made our announcement, and that kind of what would be called coming out of stealth mode, and letting everybody see what we have, kind of kick the tires on some of it that we're going to be putting on like AWS Marketplace and some other places, and then also just working with other companies. We just had if you go on LinkedIn, you'll see a press release from Parallel Works and a company that we've been working with, and some other companies. So yeah,
that's
a lot
legit,
of stuff going on. Yeah, it's it's always evolving.
Yeah.
And again, all credit to our engineers. Everybody at the company are hard working, but those guys are next level smart.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes them about 1 second and they outpace me, and I'm like, oh, okay.
It is funny you say that, because when you see guys who are crushing it and they're COO, CEO, co-founder, founder, whatever, and you're like, man, you're killing it. You're brilliant. And you're like, the really honest ones are like, it's the people who I put in charge of creating the holy grail of our company that are really the people that we should be thanking. Not that you didn't have the idea and bring this to fruition, but those engineers really are the backbone of what, moves
Absolutely.
these things forward. No question.
They're the operators.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying, I'm not saying they're out assaulting targets, but they're the lead, right? They're the pointy end of the spear, and you support them the best that you can. You're trying to make the best business decisions, give them the resources that they need, which it's not always easy in startups, for sure. You have to be very smart about how you apply your resources, especially if you're growing organically like we have, which was a decision that was made, but now we're actively going out for funding. But what I would say is there is a recognition of that. And same thing in the SEAL teams. At a certain point, one, you're investing back into the teams at all times, and the guys and the gals that are part of the organization. But real understanding is that shift that when you become, support, that how do I enable these individuals, even as a SEAL, as a senior person in an organization, how do I enable their success, and recognizing that, because it's not about you, right?
Yeah. Well, their success is your success.
Yeah. And I'm not the best leader, never have been. I know how to put good teams together and lead them.
Absolute facts, people. Facts. No, I'm just kidding. No, JT.
Well, that's true.
Nah.
It's true. I'm not, and I'll tell you that, but I do know good people, and I'm not afraid to invest in them. I'm not afraid to, I prefer that they stand on the podium and get the limelight. I'd rather be the guy behind the guy. I don't need that. It's never been something that I've needed and nor wanted.
It's better for your health to be behind the public spotlight, for sure. Not that I'm anything, but I've seen people, I've hung out with people who have that spotlight. It doesn't create a healthy culture for yourself and your health. Legit. I got some ideas. I want to talk to you offline, but this is legit. Okay, so before we even do a round robin, just to finish everything off, I want to flip the script on you and ask you a wild question, which is simple as this: who is your hero and why?
Who is my hero?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can only choose one person
for now.
My dad.
There you go.
My dad. Absolute. My dad is a good man. I might have been a latchkey kid. My mother is a great person too, but did a great job with Sean and I, my brother, raising us. And my dad had a pretty gosh darn, tough upbringing. And, he's in the Army at 17 and 18 in Vietnam, and he's slugging it out in the 173rd Airborne Brigade, 67 and 68. And he's in the Central Highlands of Vietnam, and, Vivax and falciparum malaria and trench foot and sprayed with Agent Orange, you name it, in fights. And he got after it and comes home and has a young family, and as a young man did a hell of a job raising us and taught us a lot of great lessons. I'll tell this story. There's a hell of a lot more stories than this, but I told this story at my retirement, which was, I remember sitting in the surf zone in Hell Week. I remember laying in the decon showers, which you know how miserable that is, because those things are like fire hoses, and then you lay on that sharp grating on your back naked, right after you've taken a green weenie and scrubbed your whole body with FISA Hex, and you're bleeding down your legs because your legs are raw, your crotch is raw, your feet are raw, from the sand. Big deal. Who cares, right? But in that moment, I remember laying there, I look over, there's a guy crying next to me, and he later quit. But I thought about my dad standing in chest deep water, bucking a massive, huge Doug fir, 6 to 8 inches of snow on the ground, rolling these logs, my brother and I, are these rounds up a hill, with, again, it's like 8 or 9 inches of snow, huge cotton ball, snow coming down. Dad's in this ice water, steaming, cutting wood, coming up and mauling all this wood. And I'm talking, working his ass off, not a complaint, not a peep except for encouragement, leading by example, not only through his actions, but through the way he was talking to my brother and I, my mom doing the same thing, and inspiring me the whole way. And I thought about that, and I'm like, yeah, no wonder. Although my brother says, 4 years older than me, beat me up all the time, and breaking my ribs, my nose, and all this, and give me a concussion after he beat my head off the ground when we were younger, and more. He's the reason why I'm a SEAL, or was a SEAL, and what I've done in my life. Although that's part of it. Thank you, Sean. My mom and my dad. He's just a good man. So
that's legit. Yeah,
he's legit, dude. Yeah. He's 77, still kicking, and He looks a little different, but he still acts the same.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
Still thinks he can still mold that wood.
Oh, you're not changing those people. You're not changing that.
Well, to his credit, though, the other day he's like, I need my son to get up on the. So I was like, Dad, what's going on with the gutter here? He's like, I need my son to get up there and clean the gutter. I'm like, finally, thank you. Because when I get up there to clean his stuff, he gets mad at me. I can do it. I'm like, dude, you're kidding. You don't bounce anymore, Dad. You break. Just let me go do it. I still kind of bounce.
That's legit. My wife got me a picture of me holding my firstborn when he was an infant, giving him a kiss, and it says, my daddy is my first hero, or something to that effect. And that's the truth, man. You look up to your parents, and for most of us who had a good upbringing, and it's where it all starts. And so that is an awesome story, man.
I always thought we were rich, brother.
Yeah.
My mom was what they call them personal assistants now. She would say she was a secretary, but she worked her way up to being, working directly for the superintendent of the school district. She's a hard worker. And my dad had a great job in Seattle, but wanted to move back up where we're at now to raise kids in a small town. And he grew up in this area. So we did. And he delivered, he drove a delivery truck for produce and et cetera before working his way up into the company doing business development. But I always thought we were rich, and we were. Maybe we weren't flying on private jets and doing all this, but taught me how to hunt, fish, survive off the land, work hard, how to be a good father and more.
Because you had each other.
Yeah.
You are rich when you have each other. That's awesome,
Absolutely.
brother.
Yeah.
That is legit, man. I always think about Vietnam as well. Like I say to people all the time, I say, I don't wear suits. I don't wear suits to business meetings or any of that stuff because I'm already putting on a show of somebody that I'm not for you. And I'm not going to lie to you right out of the gate. So I'm going to come dressed as me, and we're going to get down to getting to know each other from that point on. Unless a Vietnam veteran tells me to put a suit on, I'm going to don that suit so fast.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, yes, sir, because they have earned that. And
absolutely.
To come back and just get right after it with a young family. That's brilliant, dude. So props to your father. What's your father's name?
Larry
Torey.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to Larry.
Yeah, that's right.
Stay away from them ladders and those gutters.
Yeah, he should. I know.
That's legit.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. Jason Torey, co-founder of QLAD. You can go check it out at QLAD.com, which is QLAD.com. And if you have any interest being an investor or getting to know more about the company, we will connect you directly with JT so you can do so. And brother, it is always awesome to see your face.
Thanks, man.
Way better to see your face as a non-new guy.
Yeah. Getting older though. Yeah. I mean, my hair is changing. It was all one color when you first met me.
I'm right behind you, dude. It's coming everywhere. I can't poke it out anymore. It's just all over the place now.
Well, see your future. You'll look better than me, though. Yeah.
I don't know about that, but it's like you. I'm skipping gray and I'm going right. Like it's coming in white, and I'm like, what is happening here? Are you telling me that I got like 10 years left, or what's going on here? So
yeah, I know. I went from gray silver, now that's turning white. So
legit, man. Thanks for being on, brother.
Thanks for having me, Birdman. Appreciate you.
Always. Yeah.
All right.
Later, dude.
See you, dude.
All right, stay on. Landon's going to make sure that everything's uploaded. And
Sorry.
Frogman.